There's a world just beyond the reach of our everyday lives. A world where whispers in private corridors carry the weight of nations, where signatures on secret documents can shift the course of history, and where the most powerful players aren't always those in the spotlight, but those lurking in the shadows. You may think you know how the world works, but what if I told you that the most pivotal events, the rise and fall of governments, wars, alliances, economic collapses, are often the result of clandestine negotiations, hidden agreements, and covert operations that never make the headlines? Welcome to a deep dive into the secret dealings that shape global politics, where nothing is what it seems, and the truth is far stranger and far more dangerous than fiction. To understand the dark underbelly of global politics, we must first grasp the art of the secret deal. These are the agreements forged away from prying eyes, where stakes are high and trust is often an illusion. Let's start with a tale from the Cold War era, a time when the world teetered on the brink of nuclear annihilation. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the US and the Soviet Union to the edge of a catastrophic conflict. The world held its breath, watching as President Kennedy and Premier Khrushchev exchanged public threats. But what the public didn't know was that the crisis was resolved not through those televised speeches, but through a secret back-channel negotiation. This secret deal, brokered through a series of covert messages between the White House and the Kremlin, led to a hidden trade-off. The US would quietly remove its missiles from Turkey, while the Soviets would withdraw theirs from Cuba. This deal was never made public at the time, and the world only saw the two superpowers step back from the abyss, without understanding the true cost. But secret deals aren't just the domain of governments. Some of the most influential players in global politics are those who operate behind the scenes, pulling the strings without ever appearing on the world stage. Consider the rise of multinational corporations, entities so powerful that they rival entire nations in their economic might. These corporations aren't just shaping markets, they're shaping governments. Through lobbying, financing political campaigns, and, yes, secret deals, they secure policies that favor their interests, often at the expense of the public good. Take, for instance, the oil industry. For decades, oil companies have struck deals with governments around the world, trading access to natural resources for economic favors, political influence, and even military protection. One such deal is the notorious relationship between the US government and Saudi Arabia, a relationship that has been built on a foundation of oil, weapons, and whispered agreements. This alliance has not only shaped the geopolitics of the Middle East, but has also had a profound impact on global energy markets and international relations. And then there are the financial institutions, banks and investment firms that hold the purse strings of the global economy. In 2008, the world witnessed the devastating impact of the global financial crisis, a catastrophe triggered by reckless lending and risky investments. But what most people don't know is how secret meetings between the heads of these financial giants and government officials determined the course of the crisis. Trillions of dollars in bailouts were arranged behind closed doors, deals that saved the banks but left millions of ordinary people to suffer the consequences. But the most intriguing and perhaps the most unsettling aspect of secret dealings in global politics is the existence of elite networks and secret societies, groups that meet in private to discuss and decide the fate of nations. You've likely heard of the Bilderberg Group, an annual gathering of the world's most powerful people, politicians, royalty, CEOs, and media moguls who come together under a veil of secrecy. No minutes are published, no press is allowed, and participants are sworn to confidentiality. The group claims to be merely a forum for informal discussions, but critics argue that it's here, in these secluded meetings, where the real decisions are made. Decisions that affect the global economy, security policies, and even the balance of power. And then there's the Trilateral Commission, another elite group that brings together leaders from North America, Europe, and Asia. Founded by David Rockefeller, the Commission's stated goal is to foster cooperation among the three regions. But behind this benign facade lies a network of influence that many believe steers the course of international affairs, setting agendas that align with the interests of the global elite rather than the common good. These aren't just conspiracy theories. The existence of these groups is well documented, and while we may never know the full extent of their influence, one thing is certain. Decisions made in these secretive gatherings have far-reaching consequences for the world. But secret deals aren't always just about meetings and negotiations. Sometimes they involve covert operations designed to alter the course of history, often with devastating consequences. In 1953, the CIA orchestrated a coup in Iran, overthrowing the democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. His crime? Attempting to nationalize Iran's oil industry, threatening the interests of British and American oil companies. In response, a secret operation was launched to remove him from power, replacing him with a more compliant regime. The coup, known as Operation Ajax, was hidden from the public for decades, but its legacy is still felt in the Middle East today. And Iran wasn't the only target. Throughout the Cold War, the US and the Soviet Union engaged in a deadly game of chess, toppling governments and installing puppet regimes across Latin America, Africa, and Asia, all in the name of ideology. These covert operations were rarely acknowledged, and when they were, it was long after the damage had been done. The human cost of these secret operations is staggering. Countless lives lost, nations plunged into chaos, and a world more divided than ever. And yet, the architects of these operations often walk away unscathed, their actions buried in classified documents and forgotten by history. As we move further into the 21st century, the nature of secret dealings in global politics is changing. The digital age has brought new opportunities for both transparency and secrecy, and the battle for control over information has never been more intense. Today, cyber warfare, hacking, and data manipulation are the new tools of global power. Governments and corporations are engaged in a constant struggle to control information, using sophisticated cyber attacks to steal secrets, disrupt economies, and influence elections. Take the 2016 US presidential election, for example. Allegations of Russian interference have dominated headlines for years, but beneath the surface lies a web of secret operations, hacks, leaks, and misinformation campaigns designed to undermine democracy and tilt the balance of power. The full extent of these operations may never be known, but their impact is undeniable, shaking the foundations of trust in democratic institutions. And it's not just elections that are at risk. In this digital age, entire economies can be destabilized through cyber attacks. In 2017, the world witnessed the devastating power of the WannaCry ransomware attack, which crippled hospitals, banks, and businesses across the globe. The perpetrators remain unknown, hidden behind layers of anonymity and encrypted networks. But the message was clear. The new battlefield is in cyberspace, and the consequences of these secret operations are real and immediate. In a world where secret dealings hold such power, the fight for transparency and accountability has never been more critical. But it's a fight that is fraught with challenges, as those who hold power are often the ones most invested in keeping their actions hidden. Yet there are those who continue to push back. Investigative journalists, whistleblowers, and activists are working tirelessly to expose the truth, often at great personal risk. The Panama Papers, the Snowden revelations, and countless other leaks have shed light on the hidden machinations of the powerful, sparking public outrage and calls for reform. These revelations have shown us that the truth can no longer be contained. In an age of instant communication and global connectivity, secrets are harder to keep, and the walls of secrecy are beginning to crumble. But this is just the beginning. The fight for transparency is a long and difficult one, and it requires the vigilance and courage of people everywhere. It's up to us to demand accountability from those who wield power, to question the narratives we're fed, and to seek out the truth, no matter how deeply it's buried. Because in the end, the only way to truly shape the future is to understand the forces that are shaping it today. As we've seen, the secret dealings that shape global politics are as complex as they are powerful. They operate in the shadows, far from the scrutiny of the public eye, but their impact is felt by all of us, every day, in ways we may not even realize. So what can we do in the face of such overwhelming power? We can start by staying informed, by questioning the stories we're told, and by seeking out the truth for ourselves. We can support those who are working to uncover the hidden agendas and secret deals, and we can hold our leaders accountable for their actions. The world is changing, and the balance of power is shifting. The secrets of the past are coming to light, and with them, the opportunity for a more transparent and just future. But it's up to us to seize that opportunity, to shine a light on the shadows, and to ensure that the deals that shape our world are made in the open, with the best interests of all of humanity in mind. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the hidden world of global politics. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to continue exploring the forces that shape our world. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and never stop seeking the truth.